Hey, welcome back to the channel. So this is the second guide out of the trilogy series guide for Summoner's War Chronicles. So if you haven't watched the first one, the beginner's guide, I'll have the link in the description and go there first, and after you finish watching that, then come back here in the intermediate guide and I will show you everything that you need to know to grind your way through Summoner's War Chronicles every single day. So, from the beginner's guide, you were told that you can actually clear the whole main story questline by using just 3 monsters, which is the Fire Fairy, the Water Garuda, and the Wind Pixie. And this is going to be important here in the intermediate guide, because aside from the main story questline, you also have a sub-quest and also a guard journal for the monster story that you can do. And here I want to take a particular note on the Harp Magician, the last one here, the Dark Harp Magician. Because in the Dark Harp Magician, the quest that you need to do is to actually level up your Fire Fairy to level 70 with Awakening level 10, and then the Water Garuda to level 70 and Awakening level 10, and then the Wind Pixie to level 70 and Awakening level 10. So by leveling up those 3 monsters, you can actually do this quest along the way at the same time. And also aside from those 3 monsters, you also have to level up your Wind Martial Cat to level 70 and Awakening level 10, and also your Water Howl to level 70 and Awakening level 10. You can get these 2 monsters from the previous monster story, which is this one. You can get both the Wind Martial Cat and the Water Howl from here. So you can also use those 2 monsters. They are really good for you in clearing contents. Wind Martial Art is one of the best single target DPS monster for boss fights. So you can level up those 2 monsters for you to actually use in every single content in the game too. So aside from the guard journal that you can do, you also need to do your area exploration, which is the sub-quest here that will get open once you reach that part of the map. So in the Tesca storyline here, you can do the Galixot story, which requires you to level up your Water Vagabond. They will give you for free. Also the materials needed to level up your Water Vagabond, they will give you for free. And then in Ayah Continent, they require you to level up your Fire Lizardman to Awakening level 3. And then in Florence, you also need to level up your Wind Mystic Witch up to Awakening level 5. And also in Rukurama, you also need to level up your Water Amazon to Awakening level 5. They will give you the monsters for free. They also will give you the materials for free. They are all required for you to clear the path of adventure where you will grind your rune every single day. So the Water Vagabond is a counter to Forgotten Earth Shrine. The Fire Lizardman is a counter to the Tear Glens Cave. The Wind Mystic Witch is a counter to the Laboratory of Madness. The Water Amazon is a counter to the Lava Cave. Although there are better alternatives, which I will explain later on, to clear them in a much more efficient way. But they are your basic monsters to be able to clear this content at least up until the level 14. And the Queen Spider's Nest is a little bit tricky because it is the first dungeon that you can actually go in, which is supposed to be the easiest one, but the difficulty ramp up quite high. On the level 15, this is almost the hardest dungeon that you can clear. So in order to clear this Queen Spider's Nest efficiently, you will need the Light Howl, where you can get from the secret dungeon here. This Light Howl is an actual counter for the Queen Spider Nest. So the way each dungeon works is that the Queen Spider's Nest, the boss will deal insane amount of damage the moment she reaches half health, which is 50%, and she will deal insane amount of damage against an enemy that is poisoned. So the way to counter this boss is for you to remove the poison every time before she attacks, or to give immunity to your monsters. So for all monsters that can give immunity to your teammates, they are a good counter against the Queen Spider's Nest, and the easiest one for you to get is the Wind Golem or the Wind Mummy. But the best counter against her is still the Light Howl, because you can consistently clear level 15 using the Light Howl, because the Light Howl, aside from giving immunity, he can also heal your teammates. And then on the Forgotten Earth Shrine, the boss will get defense up level 3 every time he attacks, and if he has defense up level 6 or above, he will also gain level 3 attack up. So you do need to remove that attack up and defense up buff, otherwise he will deal insane amount of damage while on top of being really hard to kill. So monsters that can remove beneficial effects and also buff blocker is a good counter against him, and that's why the Water Vagabond is your beginner's choice to clear this dungeon, although you have a better alternative, which is the Water Leech, or you can still use your Fire Fairy if you do want to save materials rather than increasing the level of monsters that you cannot use in any other content in the game. Next is the Tearglance Cave. This monster has a really high critical rate and also critical damage, but he will deal like a very low damage if he cannot manage to crit. So the way to counter this boss is to actually reduce his critical rate chance or to increase your critical damage resistance. So the Fire Lizardman is still the best option against this boss, because the Fire Lizardman have a passive that reduces the critical damage that he will take. So no matter what level this boss is, the Fire Lizardman is a strong choice against this boss. Although if you don't have the Fire Lizardman or you don't want to level up your Fire Lizardman that much, then you can also use your Water Hark, which will increase the chance of you getting critical damage from the boss into your entire party. So this boss, among any other bosses in this list, he is the easiest one to deal with, because this boss can miss a lot of his attacks. You just need to take care about the red AoE on the ground, and he will pretty much miss 80% of his attack. So this is the easiest boss to grind also, although this is also the one which hit the hardest, because the moment one of your monster dies, he will just one-shot your entire party. Next is this Laboratory of Madness. This boss is most likely gonna be the dungeon where you will grind the least, because this gives accuracy rate and precision rate rune, which is mostly situational, but it doesn't stop us from analyzing his counter. So this boss will keep continually healing himself, so you need someone who has an unrecoverable debuff, which is the Wind Mystic Witch that is given to you from the subquest. But he will also deal electric shock to you when dealing damage to you. So you can use your Water Garuda to remove that electric shock. Or you can also use a Wind Hark so that you can remove that electric shock while also giving yourself immunity on top of that. And once he reaches 0% health, he will gain Endure, which prevents him from dying. So you need to either buff block him before he reaches 0% health, or you can remove beneficial effect to remove that Endure, or you can also use an attack that ignore damage mitigation to get through that Endure to kill him. And then the last one is this Lava Cave. So this boss has an insane amount of damage, and he receives less damage from skills. So he will only be able to get damage by using a normal attack. So you were given the Water Amazon in order to do that. She has a really good normal attack damage against this boss, and also every time the Water Amazon got burned, she will gain attack speed buff. So this boss, aside from burning his targets, he will also gain accuracy and attack speed buffs. You can try to remove that, although it's not necessary, but you can just run around him and avoid his AoE damage while on top of keep dealing damage using your Water Amazon. But it is not always the most efficient way, because once you get your Wind Martial Cat to enough level, then you can just ignore that normal attack mechanic and just kill him using your skills, because it says he will receive less damage from skills, but it doesn't prevent him from dying by that skill. So if you deal even more damage than your normal attack can give, you can still kill this boss using your standard method of using your wind martial arts cat. So aside from just doing the mechanic, you also need to deal damage to these bosses. And the best candidate monsters in order to do that is your wind martial arts cat together with the dark harpy, because the dark harpy can give defense down and damage taken up to the boss, which will increase your damage by a lot. And she will be your best friend in every single raid in the future. So all in all the mechanics that I mentioned before, if you have a natural 5-star monsters that can do those mechanics, then you can just use them. But you can also use your Fire Epician Priest together with your Water Garuda to just overcome every single mechanic in this game. Because using those two monsters, you can have permanent invincibility, because your Water Garuda will reduce the invincibility cooldown of your Epician Priest, and with permanent invincibility you can just stand on fire and you will never die, so you can just kill the boss anyhow you want. And don't be discouraged if you cannot clear the dungeon using the mechanic and the monsters I mentioned, because there is also the power penalty here if you have lower power than the content that you are trying to clear, because this penalty is very nasty. Like, this will definitely prevent you from clearing this content. So all you need to do is to just level up your monsters even higher to get this power, and also to equip your monsters with a higher level rune. And there is also another way to overcome this. If you use your natural 5-star monsters, they have a higher power compared to your 4-star monsters. So you can just bring the 5-star monsters in order for you to overcome this penalty. And once you are inside the dungeon, you can just replace all these monsters with the monsters that you want to use against that boss, and you will not receive the penalty anymore if you change your monsters inside the dungeon. So in summary, these are all the monsters that you need to level up before you go into your natural 5-star monsters that you can use in the raid later on. So these are the 4-star monsters that is pretty much a standard for every Summoner Wars players, for you to grind every single day for every single content, like probably 90% of the content in the game. The next step that you need to clear every single day is the Kairos dungeon. This will give you the essence of magic or essence of elemental that you need in order to awaken your monsters, but they are pretty much a lesser version of that rune dungeon. Like, they are easier to clear compared to the rune dungeon. So there are just certain mechanics that prevent you from clearing this content, like this fire one requires you to remove the bomb debuffs on you. You can just use immunity, you can just use remove bomb, or you can just kill the boss before the boss kills you. So again, your wind martial arts cat and also your dark harpy will be your best friend here. So once you have them to enough level and enough rune, then you can just pretty much overcome the mechanic in this dungeon and just basically brute force your way into grinding this content. So there is no real need for you to counter these bosses here, but you can just check the strategy info here for the strategy tips in order for you to see what kind of mechanics that you need to do in order to clear every single one of them. So there is also a secret dungeon here which you can open every single day, which basically gives you a duplicate of these 6 monsters in random. And afterwards, you can also join other players' secret dungeon and use up your friendship token, which will give you breath of life, like a lot of them. And you will need them in order to evolve and awaken a lot of monsters. So you will want to grind these dungeons and use up your friendship token every single week. And also by doing so, they are a really good light and dark monsters for you to use And by doing so, you can also keep increasing their book level and further increase the power of that monster, because this book effect will only get increased if you keep getting the same duplicate of that monster. And the secret dungeon will guarantee you duplicates among those 6 monsters, so you can just keep grinding those monsters, and those 6 monsters will probably be your first monster to reach a level 14 book effect. So now that you know all the important natural 3-star monsters and natural 4-star monsters for you to upgrade, the next step is for you to just grind the raid and rapture here every single day, and also to do your expedition. This is basically the same monsters from the Path of Adventure, but using a different color. And they all require you to bring certain type of monsters, but the way to counter them is still the same. So the next one that you want to focus on is the Trial of Ascension and also the Spire of Ascensions, which requires you to bring only one element for every single spire here. So you do want to build your team around the elemental color here. So you need 3 monsters of fire, 3 water monsters, 3 wind monsters, 3 light monsters, and 3 dark monsters in order for you to climb these spires every single season, to maximize the reward that you can get in every single season that you play this game. So the rule of thumb is to have at least like the Holy Trinity, which consists of 1 tank, 1 DPS, and 1 healer for every single color here. Once you are able to build those teams, then only then you can level up your natural 5-star monsters anyhow you want. So after those 3 stars and 4 stars monsters, like you don't need any other 3 stars and 4 star monsters, and you can just focus on grinding to all of your natural 5-star monsters in order for you to compete in the battlefield and the arena every single season. So that's all from me, and thanks for watching. I hope you learned a lot, and I'll see you in the next guide, which is the expert guide. Bye bye.